morning, God bless. So I had received another revelation about John chapter 21 verse 22. Jesus said unto him, if I will that he tarry till I come, what is that to thee? Follow thou me. When I first read that, I always thought of it because obviously like Peter and this is John. So Peter is talking to Jesus and Jesus is talking about John. And it's like, I always thought about that because Peter and John are both followers of Christ. I was thinking like, okay, this is just for the followers of Christ. So to me, it just meant that, you know, like I am a woman of God. My mom is a woman of God and my sister is. So my sister's been getting dreams of being an agent. And then I've been getting tons of different like messages from God. Like I've been really feeling God's wrath about things. And then my mom has been getting like dimension stuff and she's been getting different things. So I always thought that as like, hey, if I'm giving this person those type of dreams and I'm telling that person to do this and that and they are a follower of Christ, don't worry about it. Like that has nothing to do with you. Just focus on me and follow me. So that was one interpretation of that. And I believe that that was just like more of the milk of the gospel. That was like, you know, the easy level. But then I went back and I read it again, and that's when I think I received the meat, like the deeper meaning of this scripture. And recently I've been hearing so many excuses, so many different excuses about people saying, well, I'm not getting out of sin because this person's sinning and that person's sinning and these people are sinning all up and down the street. Everybody sins, so that means that, you know, it's fine. Obviously everybody sins, so it's fine to sin. And I actually saw a video and it was supposed to be about Christians, and they had this homosexual on there, and he was saying, and he said that he was like, I'm not going to stop being homosexual because they're lying and stuff like that, and nobody's going against them like they're going against homosexuals and stuff like that. And literally the first thing that popped in my head was something that like I grew up hearing my whole entire life, and I feel like a lot of us have heard this, but if your friends jump off a cliff, are you gonna jump off with them? That's the same thing. Like, if your friends are all going to hell, are you gonna go to hell with them? That is not an excuse to be in sin because Susan and Sally and John are sinning. Like, that's not an excuse. It's really not at all. So this scripture had came to me and I was like, that's also what it means. It doesn't, I'm not saying it doesn't mean the first thing I said, but it also is the same thing for sinning and stuff like that and following Jesus. When you follow Jesus, it should be because you are following Jesus, not because Susan and Sally are following Jesus, not because this person that you don't like doesn't like Jesus. So you're like, okay, well, I'm going to like Jesus because the person I don't like doesn't like Jesus or something like that. I feel like somebody out there is feeling that way. But anyways, when you decide to follow Jesus, it should be because you want to follow Jesus. Okay? And it's the same thing for sinning and stuff like that. If you say, oh, I'm going to sin, don't make it because of somebody else. You are the only reason why you are on your way to hell. So, okay? And when you think about it that way, I don't see the excuse for sinning and living in sin anymore. It should be your reason, not because of somebody else. When you go into judgment day, you're not going to be standing side by side with that person. It's just going to be you. What is your reason? Okay. And I remember like months ago, I was talking to somebody who I knew was like atheist, agnostic. He was going all over the place. And I asked him, I was like, why are you not a Christian? And he said, well, because my family members this, and this, and they were Christian and they treated me this way. And I was just literally like, his explanation, as soon as he said my family, it went in one ear and right out the other. So I waited a couple weeks, and I went and I asked him again. I was like, so why? Because something on my spirit was like, don't let this go. Don't let this go. And once again, he said the same exact excuse. And then finally, like I think weeks later, I finally said to him and I said, following Jesus, the decision to follow Jesus and the decision not to follow Jesus shouldn't be because of somebody else. It should not be because of that. It should be because you picked up the Bible yourself and you read the Bible yourself. And that's the thing. Jesus does say about how there's blind leaders leading the blind. And that is exactly what is going to happen if you sit there and say that your reason for following Jesus or not following Jesus is because of somebody else. And I'll say my testimony real quick. For me, when I finally decided to get right and finally decided to come back to Christ and like really like ask God for forgiveness, like really come back to Christ, the first time it was because I was saying it's because of my daughter. Because I know if I live in sin, she'll be cursed. Something bad is going to happen to her. I need to come back to Christ. And because I was sitting there saying it's because of her, my salvation wasn't truly there. I kept on one foot in the world and one foot in God. And like Jesus says, like, you cannot serve two masters. So technically I was all in the world. And then finally something in me broke, and something told me, like, no, I'm following Jesus because of me. I'm following Jesus because I need help, and I need Jesus, not because of my daughter. I love the Lord because of me, not because of somebody else. I am choosing to follow God, not because I was raised and we would go to church and we would talk about Jesus, not because of that. Because honestly, like, if you ask me questions about my past and what happened in Christianity, I would not be able to answer that. But me now, I picked up the Bible myself, and I read the Bible myself, and I decided myself to follow Jesus. And yes, I have been introduced to other 5 million other different religions and other doctrines and all that stuff, and I was just like, no. So I decided that on my own. And like I said, this is about this scripture, and that is what that scripture is really about. It's like pretty much, what do all of these other people have to do with you? And he says, follow me. And thou means you. So pretty much it's saying, you follow me. Follow me is what Jesus is saying. So what do those people have to do with you? Absolutely nothing. Nothing at all. If somebody came up to you right now and asked, why are you a Christian? And if your answer has to do with anybody else, rethink that and find God for yourself, not because of anybody else. All right, guys. And it's the same thing for if you decided not to be of God. Once again, if your answer has to do with anybody else, rethink your answer and seek God. Really seek God. Alrighty, guys. God bless.